Hey guys, Doug Rucker here with DougRuckerSchool.com and DougRuckerStore.com. Located, by the way, right here in Kingwood, Texas, Houston, Texas area. We're like your Houston, Texas area pressure washing, soft washing, power washing, whatever supply store. Hey, I just wanted to give you a quick tip. This happened yesterday on a job. We were cleaning a roof and getting ready to go out and do a roof and a house wash this morning. And so just thought I would pop on here real quick and make a little reminder video. I think I've done this before, but yesterday when we were cleaning the roof, what we use is this M5 twist adjustable nozzle for when we're watering the plants and keeping gutters wet and the house wet and all that kind of stuff when we're cleaning a roof. And so we like it because we can turn this and it'll go a straight stream, or turn it and it'll be a fan. So, and it gets pretty wide, so we can broadcast over, you know, a bunch of plants at one time. But basically what happened is yesterday we were using this little setup here so we don't have to use a trigger gun. That's what most guys use. But when we're using the lower pressure nozzles, in other words, we're not using the nozzles like this that create high pressure. We wouldn't use these on this setup. And this really is just a 3/8 coupler with a 3/8 to 1/4 inch bushing, and then you've got a 1/4 inch coupler. So it allows us to plug this onto the end of our ball valve setup that has our Mossmatic swivel and all of that. And so we can just hold it. We don't have to worry about pulling the trigger and all that kind of stuff. But what happened yesterday was when we went to put it in, the coupler did not get seated all the way. And so when we turned the ball valve, this shot out. Now luckily, our guy that was doing this, it happened, and this happens to everybody. It's happened to me before. You get in a hurry, you slam it in there, you don't make sure it's seated all the way. So this flew out, but you know, he had it pointed down, so it just kind of went onto the driveway. As a matter of fact, you can tell it got scuffed up a little bit, but it still works fine. So the main point is to make sure that you're always seating this coupler all the way up. If it looks just a little off, and let's say you were using like your J-rod or something, this could go pretty far depending on the weight that you've got. So if you're using a gun like this and you've got a wand on the end of it, you've got just your yellow nozzle excuse me, and you do it like that and it hasn't seated all the way, you pull this trigger and it's going pretty far. So that's why I always say point your trigger up in the air or down at the ground when you're pulling the trigger, but never ever at anything like a window or the brick wall or garage door or anything that could cause damage. So just get in the habit of always going up with it, pull your trigger, come down into the surface that you're going to clean. Same thing with, or down and come up. It's just a great habit to get into, because if it's like this, I can remember the very first time, I think I've told this story before, I used a gun trigger back in high school. This happened to me when the boss told me to go wash his car, an Oldsmobile Delta 88 or 98 or whatever, brand new car, and this flew out, dented the car. So you got to make sure that you're doing this. So always make sure it seats all the way, because sometimes they're a little difficult to move over. Just wanted to give you that little safety tip. Again, love using this little M5 for plant protection. I don't use it often downstreaming because it doesn't put out a lot of pressure if I need to use a little bit of pressure on brick. But for watering plants, rinsing, things of that nature, man, it's awesome, because you can just turn it from a fan to a shooter tip just by twisting the nozzle. And they come in different sizes. We've got, don't have one of these. They come in 2 to 3 gallon per minute, 3 3 to 7 gallon per minute and 7 to 12 gallon per minute. They're about 75 bucks. Well worth the money. So that, and then also another thing, I've had a couple of questions or calls this week about a J-rod or plug fitting. These are just 4 plug fittings welded together, and putting them in, and they're not seating properly. They're hard to get in or whatever. So a couple things you can do. You can just file right down around this edge. I use sandpaper. Some guys will use a file. Some guys will use channel locks or whatever. These are all made different. No telling where they're going to come from. Different manufacturers or different suppliers like us buy them from different companies based on supply and demand. Sometimes we're just searching, trying to find stuff anywhere we can get it. So that will help that. The other thing is the little bearings that are inside the couplers. I don't know if you can see those little bearings. So what happens is every time you pull the trigger or whatever, these things, it pulls, it creates pressure. And so the bearings will kind of put a little groove down into this top ridge right here, okay? And so if you're not removing your fittings frequently, it will cause them to actually just permanently stick. So 2 things. A, you want to make sure you're removing any plug fitting from a socket on a regular basis, at least once a week. That will help prevent that because you ended up seating it in a different part. The other thing is, again, keep some 60 grit sandpaper on it. Just run it around it a few times, and that'll help prevent that issue with sticking. Our plugs and couplers and stuff like that, we usually end up replacing every month, 2 months, 3 months, something like that, just to make sure we have good connections and they're working properly and not slowing us down, because the last thing you want to do is be on a job and you're trying to get this loose or whatever. So just kind of keep that in mind. And of course, finally, a lot of new guys too sometimes don't know that if you have pressure built up into the hose, you're not going to be able to remove like this part and even this part. So you have to release the pressure so that you can move the coupler, because if there's pressure built up, and let's say you've got this is what I would have on the bottom of my fitting. I know some guys would be different. That's what we talk about, the lead fitting coming off the end of your hose. So mine would go like this. And so if you've been pressure washing and using your gun, you shut your machine off and you go over to try to take this off, it's not going to come off because there's pressure built up in the line. So you've got to pull your trigger up in the air, down low, to release that pressure, and then this will come off pretty easy. Okay, so hope that helps you guys. Just a little couple tips and tricks real quick before I head out to a job. I got a big size roof cleaning job today, gutter brightening, and also just cleaning the siding portions, the white trim on a house. Brick is fairly clean because it's a house we clean once a year. I've done the roof a couple times over the last 10 years. So anyway, hope those little tips help you guys. Just remember to make sure that those plugs and couplers are seated properly. Don't want to see you break a window or anything like that. And leave me a comment, leave me a question, hit subscribe, and hit that bell so you get notifications when I come out with a video. Y'all have an awesome Labor Day weekend coming up. Hey, got a Labor Day weekend sale coming up starting Saturday, so be on the lookout for it. Y'all take care.